I famously only watch reality TV.
Oh, yes, Mackenzie Davis. Welcome to the light. Yes.
I know. I was actually really hoping that we weren't going to have like a conversation about career, but could instead talk about opinions.
Let's go.
Our guest today is the kind of actress who can turn a seemingly quiet moment into a powerhouse event. You know her from Halt Catch Fire, Station 11, Happiest Season, and now the hit new thriller, Speak No Evil. We are thrilled to welcome to Keep It the dynamic and mesmerizing Mackenzie Davis.
Oh my God, thank you for that intro.
I mean, you deserve it. You are truly are mesmerizing. I mean, I am I'm friends with Angelina Burnett, who worked on Halt and Catch Fire, and I remember when she first got that job. I told her, I was like, I love this show, and we talk about how great you are all the time. So.
Oh, that's so cool. I love Angelina. I've spoken to her, I guess, since the show ended. But yeah, any episode that she wrote was a very good episode for Cameron.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to start with Speak No Evil, which, first of all, I'm fascinated by how this is different from the Danish movie it's remaking from 2022, because this is a psychological horror film, but there are also like moments of humor and other unexpected things as opposed to the bleakness that was the 2022 movie. What do you see as the differences? And also just talk about being in this movie. What a bracing experience.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it the last Tuesday at our premiere, and it was kind of a laugh riot. I wasn't expecting like the uproarious jokes to take hold in quite the way they did. But I thought it was really fun. I mean, it's a really, really, really tense movie in a way that I think is quite satisfying to just be like edging for 2 hours. Well, I mean, for an hour and a half. And yeah, in the midst of that, you can either break tension with like a scream or with laughter. And I think a lot of our tension is broken with laughter. And it's just funny to watch people misstep socially and like fail to recover elegantly. They are like the couple I'm in with Scoot McNairy and our daughter Alex West Leffler. We don't know that we're in a horror movie, so we're just like trying to navigate like a minefield of social calamities, not like trying to like save my family, which I understand is frustrating to watch horror characters not like act smarter, but we don't know that we're in danger. And so it's quite funny to see them fail to know that.
Now, James McAvoy, I mean, I'm not shocked that it's a laugh riot because he's so funny and is so charming in every interview that you see him in, but also in recent years, he's just taken on these intense, creepy roles. And sort of like, what's that like seeing him on set in that character and then seeing him off set where he's a completely different person?
It's like watching somebody who is not only supremely talented and then has like years of experience to like buttress that talent, but who also really, really fucking enjoys it. He is having so much fun, and I think that's really evident when you watch the movie, that he's like going wacko. Like he's just having such a good time doing whatever he's doing, and he's so not focused on himself, just like really kind of inventive and exploratory. He's unlike, I don't know, maybe not. He's a very unusual actor. He seemingly has no ego about his performance other than he just wants it to be like the best, as in the most inventive, the freshest, the most exciting to himself, which is then exciting to the audience, but he's not like kind of protecting himself against making a fool out of himself, which I think you find a lot with stage actors, but not so much with film actors, because you don't have any control over the edit, and there's only like one shot, and you want to make sure you're kind of controlling what's being handled after the fact, and yet he's just so free with it.
You, to me, are one of these Toni Collette people where if I look at all the credits, like these things have nothing to do with each other. It seems crazy that there would be even any link in between all of these things, but you are the link between them. Is your taste as varied as the parts you play, or are you much likelier to veer towards one type of movie or TV show to watch?
I famously only watch reality TV.
Oh, fuck yes,
I
Mackenzie
don't-
Davis. Welcome to the light. Yes.
I know. I was actually really hoping that we weren't going to have like a conversation about career, but could instead talk about opinions, and maybe that's where we'll
Let's
segue
go.
now. But,
Yeah.
We absolutely
okay,
will.
great. I'm so excited for Salt Lake City to come out. I cannot
Aren't
wait.
you?
I had I on the edge of my seat. I wasn't a Bravo girl. I was always a Bachelor girl, and
okay.
and part of that was because I knew that I had too addictive a personality to go into a whole other streaming network. I was like, The Bachelor already has The Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise, Bachelorette, and then me looking at their Instagrams, which is like, and then listening to podcasts about it. That's like a full-time job. And then Scandival happened. And I proceeded to watch all of Vanderpump Rules backwards. And then I watched all of Beverly Hills backwards, which I have to say is a really, like episode 1, season 10 to finish, and then episode 1, season 9. You know what I mean? Not each episode backwards, which is a really
But you
interesting
watched the
way to
seasons
watch it.
backwards.
I watched them backwards. That's right.
Wow, that's wild. What do you think that you got, particularly from Vanderpump Rules and from Beverly Hills, watching them backwards? Because it's. I know a lot of people watched the current season of Vanderpump when Scandival happened, and then they went back and were like, "Oh, okay, I can't wait to see how this is all unfolding." But it must be. I mean, it's like you were doing a weird pincer play watching all of this unfold.
I mean, it's a classic gateway drug where I kept thinking I could stop, and I was like, well, I'm going to need the context for this season, so I'll just go back. And I was like, well, I need to have the context for Lisa Vanderpump, so I went to, and then I finished it and was like, well, I will need to know what Salt Lake City's all about. I recently watched The Real Housewives of DC, the one season. Have you seen that?
Oh, Michaela Salahi.
Yes.
I remember it well. Yes.
I can't believe that happened. I can't, like, what a moment in time to capture. And that I remember the Michaela Salahi thing happening. I mean, I don't know how old I was, but, like, not invested in, like, gate crashers at a state dinner in Washington. But remember, like, the figure and the sort of cut of her jib, as it were. And then to go back, like, that it's a miracle. And I understand why they couldn't go forward with it, because it was, I guess, too inflammatory and like a legal risk for Bravo. But wow, what a document. And those, sorry, I'll stop in a second, are, I think, some of the finest drawn characters I've ever watched in my life.
Oh.
In Real Housewives of DC. Pre-knowledge, a sense of being on a stage, but not quite aware of what that stage was. So there's like a clumsiness with how they're I mean, the grape stomping with the grapes from Ralph's. Like, I've just so many good moments.
I think you really touched on it with the clumsiness that comes from this bit of knowing you're entering reality TV, but also not knowing what you're doing. Case in point, we're excited for Salt Lake to come back, right? But last season, the whole Monica thing was she knew what show she was going to be on. She was fans of these people. She was stalking these people to get onto the show. And now you're in this sort of postmodern reality show world where everyone knows that they're on a reality show. And you've even got now, have you started Secret Lives of Mormon Wives?
No, I'm starting that. I just read the article in the New Yorker on it. And I'm starting
Fantastic.
Like, I'm gonna have to cut this short.
But that is like, I think, the next sort of bastion of reality TV, because you're always having these people who are thirsty to be on TV, but they sort of are hiding it, right? But you can sense it. And these people were part of Mom Talk, which means they were on TikTok. They were trying to be famous.
Yeah,
and
right.
now you are filming these women talking about their brand deals and what they want to be doing and who they want to represent themselves as and the scandal that happens with their brand deals. And it's sort of now just peeking behind that curtain of the, like, lust for fame.
Which I think is also a really interesting aspect of it. So what I really loved about The Bachelor when I first started watching it was that these were people who had, like, internalized the economics of the game of, like, falling in love. Like, the game of love in real life had become a game show. It was like vulnerability gains you access to this thing, and then at this point you need to play this card in order to have, like, a trauma bond, and yada yada yada, and then you have sex, which, like, brings it to the next level. Like, and then they'd internalized that so much that they knew what game that they were playing, but they wanted to manipulate it, but they weren't good actors, which actually I felt was more revealing of, like, a humanity, like a sort of sad humanity. Like it felt quite exploitive, but really interesting to watch people like try and fool me, the viewer, when they weren't good at wearing the suit that they had chosen to wear. And I found that like the most interesting performance in the world. Where now, or I guess outside of competition shows, people are a lot more savvy, but there's still a little bit of that. But I'm interested in the adaptability, like how they're, like the evolution of the characters. I sort of lost the plot towards
No, and of course how transparent it is what people are doing, on these shows.
Yeah.
That said, what like Bachelor contestant or Bachelorette contestants are the ones that like have stuck with you? Like, do you like stan these people, or is it really just general interest in the world of being on The Bachelor and doing your best to work on this show?
There were a few. I mean, I always thought Caitlin Bristow was just such a breath of fresh air. And she was fun. I don't really follow her anymore. Honestly, baby Becca from Ari season, she was the first girl with the pixie cut on the show. She was 22 years old, and she's a really interesting character because she was a very much like, I'm not like the other girls kind of a girl. Mm-hmm. And she had internalized some lines. She was like, oh God, she had such an amazing line where she said, I'm no trouble, I have fun, and I like fast cars, or something like that. Like just this sexy line that you would say in a movie. But she was really cool. And after the show, she's the only person I still follow. She's like not at all a trad wife, but like an organic farming mom, and like
sort of adjacent.
Yeah, but like she's very cool and empowered, and like doesn't shave her legs, and is she's like a great mom, and I like watching her Instagrams. But her evolution's been very interesting, where she felt very aware of the machine and like young and susceptible to it, and then turned it a bit and was able to look at it in an interesting way.
That's another thing that is also, I don't know, this like reality has seeped into sort of social media and how we present ourselves in general. You brought up trad-wise. I feel like that's another thing that is a performative aesthetic, because every person who presents themselves as sort of this trad wife aesthetic online, right? It's not really the trad wife as you would historically know it, because these women are all the breadwinners in their family.
Yeah.
Like they're making all of the money. Which I read is an
element of the Mormon TikTok.
Yeah, so it is. Like all these women, there's a moment in episode 2 where they're talking about whether or not they're going to be doing a brand deal to make $20K for using a vibrator. And some of the women are like, I wouldn't post that for $20K, and someone's like, I'll post it. And they're all going around, they're like, which one of us are the breadwinners in their family? And they're like, we all are.
Wow.
But
they're still being controlled by their husbands, aren't they?
They're still being controlled, yes.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Yeah, it's interesting. God, I can't wait to watch this show.
This also says to me that, like, last weekend a friend of mine asked me, like, oh, do you want to go out to see a comedy show? And a part of me thought, like, I don't need to see that. Like, I'm working in it all the time. Like, do you actually resist watching, like, dramatic acting because that is your job and you don't need to see more of it?
No, I mean, maybe. I think I watch TV. I really like good movies, and TV. I feel a little. I say this as I'm shooting a show that's for TV. Is good. Mine's really good. I find like pedigree TV a little exhausting sometimes. Like there's a lot of like signifiers of what makes it valuable that I find can feel almost cheap. Like that I think are less convincingly employed in film. Maybe because you don't want to invest in film in the same way. Weirdly, like it feels like a bigger investment to watch a 2-hour film than it does to watch like 10 hours of a TV show. I guess I watch TV to like turn off, and I watch films to tune in. I just get different things out of them, and I'm sure there's some TV shows I would like to watch, but it hasn't happened in a while.
I do feel like people, you just kind of touched on something, are exhausted by the thought of something being really good or prestigious. Like when, this is no shade to this movie, which I actually haven't seen, but that Blake Lively movie that just made $200 million or whatever, I really feel like when the Metacritic score of 59 comes out on that movie, people think, oh, this is for me. Like I will actually go and see this thing that's only kind of good. You know what I mean? Or critically kind of good, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like asking Well, like, I don't know. Yeah, I understand that deeply. Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but I fully agree. You want something that's like comforting. I
Yes,
think also
right.
like, so there's a really popular TV show that everyone loves right now that I tried to watch a few episodes of. It's great. Writing, acting, everything, wonderful. But I was like, I don't want to fucking kick up and relax with people yelling at each other for like 3 hours, and like everyone's so stressed. It's great, it's unimpeachably great, but it's not like pleasurable for me to do that. I guess maybe to link it back to horror, like I don't get any catharsis out of that at the end. I just get like bad news, and then am like, the bad news was very good, but I don't get to participate in it in a way that like gets me off in any way. So I don't like it.
That's true. And I think that catharsis thing too is really just this idea that now that we have so much to watch, there's so much television, there's so many films, I think that there are so many things that sort of are geared towards a specific set of people. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, I love television and I can appreciate very good writing, but I'm also like, there's some things I'm just not choosing to watch. And I'm like, I don't need to participate in that conversation. And I love that my friends are watching it. I love that people are writing articles about it. But personally, I'm like, I am really getting nothing out of the show beyond, if I'm watching it, I'm like, this is good writing. And I would talk to people about it, but I'm not personally getting anything out of it at the end. The last show, like, Succession was that, where I really enjoyed that. I was loving it week to week. I had to watch it each week. Unless the show is doing that to me, I'm not going to keep watching something just because it's good. You wouldn't do that with case in point, before there was TV, when we were all just sitting around reading books by candlelight, right? Would you keep reading a book that's 900 pages if you weren't entertained by it?
Yeah, right.
I did just do that, but I didn't question it. I was doing it at all times. It was like, as a personal, somebody cared if I read it, and I kept being like, still getting to the end. Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I like would love to be in one of those shows. Like, please, I would love to be in a prestige show. I won't watch it, and I would never, but like, I would love the like laurels that are accompanied with them.
In so many of the varied things that you've done, one thing that I really want to see more of you in is action, because I fucking love Terminator Dark Fate.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
It was really hard.
Oh, really?
That was very much like, do I like these movies? No, I don't like I don't have a personal connection to these movies, but like, am I gonna be at any age in the future and think it was cool that I played like a super human robot from the future that like lands on Earth naked and then fights people? Like, that feels like a good investment in the memoirs, like do things because that's a varied life experience. But it was hard. People were really invested in that's what I signed up for in like my body, and my diet was just like unseasoned meat for 6 months, and I never slept. I don't know. It felt like kind of unhealthy in the end, just because I think it's so, I cannot tell you how often I drop it into a conversation. I'm like, well, and of course when I did Terminator, that was a different time, just like as a point of reference, so that people are like, you did? And I'm like, yes, I did. But I don't. Yeah, it's really exhausting. But maybe something where I was fully clothed all the time, and I could be like strong, but in a different way. I would like.
What? So I like the diet, of course, and the preparation for the scenes are exhausting. Are the actual scenes themselves that exhausting? Like, do you have to do certain things like 50 times in a row that are physically taxing?
Yeah, it's kind of like my schedule would be like I'd wake up at 4 a.m., drive to work out from 4:30 to 5:30, then do makeup from like 5:30 to 8, and then do like intense physical like rope climbing for 4 hours, and then another, like, it was just, it was just a lot, and I'm really, really glad that I did it. But I wasn't left with like, ooh, I can't wait to like jump back in that pool again.
You weren't Tom Cruise, you know. You weren't like, I want to
No.
dive off this cliff every day.
I don't care. Like, I'm that way about all sports where I'm like, girl, good for you. You did it as soon as I start. Like, I don't then need to challenge myself further. I'm just proud of myself for doing it. And yeah, I think the acting was difficult just because it's something that Tom Cruise and Bruce Willis and so many of these people who've made their name in action films are so good at, these incredibly potent, 3-word pieces of dialogue that communicate, urgency, stakes, emotion, like everything in this one. But then you only get to do that. You don't get to speak ever. Like, you never really get to explore other things. And then, once every few months you'd have a scene that you could do a little bit more in. But, yeah, like, again, I'm not saying this out of, I don't know, fear or whatever. Like, it was such a fun, great experience. I loved doing it, but it didn't fill me up with a desire to do it again because I was tired.
It just sounds like your life goes away too. Like your entire life is this militaristic like build up to doing the work.
Oh, well, the most valuable thing I took out of it as, a woman who grew up ever and wanting to constantly have a different body is that I had everything at my disposal to have a perfect body, and I was in peak physical condition, and like all of my calories and everything were tracked, and one, I was miserable, but two, if my boyfriend was there with me at the time, if we went out and had like a Saturday where we had a latte, like I had dairy, I immediately ballooned and sucked up all of the water weight, and all, like, my body just disappeared underneath it, and I was just this sort of big thing instead. So I was like, oh, this is just a horrible life long term. And again, I loved it.
Yeah. Otherwise, it was a holiday. No, yeah. When you're in peak physical condition,
yeah.
you're always teetering on not being in peak physical condition, you know?
Yeah. And I love a glass of wine, and I love to eat, and those things give me pleasure, and they were all not available to me. And if they were, it was with like laden with guilt and a sort of perverse rebellion. So, yeah.
A movie role I have to ask about is there's a very underrated movie you were in called Tully, written by a friend of our show, Diablo Cody. And in the movie, you play this nanny, I'll put it broadly, who kind of makes everything all better for the Charlize Theron character, who's like motherhood is kind of killing her. And people who've seen the movie know what the twist is, but how do you play a role that turns out to be really a two-dimensional figure altogether, who is there to provide a purpose for this other character? Was that challenging or not challenging? Because you just have to make decisions that sort of make everything else go away.
I guess I felt like it was, if you know the twist, then this has a bit of irony, I guess, but like it felt quite maternal, actually. Like my job was to like sort of caretake and like nurture and help like raise this woman out of this crisis point. And I was, just without any acting, so besotted by Charlize Theron and getting to sort of like bask in her glow that I was so happy to do it. And I think I just got a lot out of having a really singular purpose. Like the purpose was to love somebody, and I think that's an underrated type of drama. To like really like love somebody is hard to pitch, and it's hard to sell to somebody else, but it's a lovely thing to perform, and it's very high stakes in your own life, and I just really enjoyed it. I found it really fulfilling.
I absolutely love that movie. I love Diablo. And then I must ask, of course, I brought it up earlier, Halt Catch Fire. I'm sure you are still asked about this show all the time, which is crazy because I felt like I kept telling people, you got to watch this show when it was on. I feel like Cameron was one of the coolest characters on TV, like ever.
Me too. I know. It was so fun.
And I don't know, that show, I felt like it went through a lot of different iterations too. I mean, I feel like it started one way and then it kept unfolding. So like, what was that like, playing a character who, you were getting different bits of her each season as the writers were changing, like what they wanted the show to be about?
I mean, I was a pig in shit, but I didn't know how good I had it because I hadn't done it before. So like I couldn't have been happier, yet I still didn't realize what an exceptional experience I was having. One, for the creators of the show to like change course in the way that they did, and to have a network that was like, yeah, let's just do not a Mad Men ripoff. Let's like just take a hard left and do this other thing now. And then the next season sort of reinvent itself again and reinvent itself again. I don't know, it really runs counter to all of my understanding of how the industry works, because I find a lot of comfort in like the coldness of the industry, and that we're human stocks and that's how you get jobs, and it's not personal. It's like, are you a rising stock, or are you a dropping stock, or are you a steady investment, whatever it is, that's how things happen. And the same with shows. And yet no one watched the show. Like, no one watched the show. Like, it was in the like low thousands some seasons or some episodes, and AMC just kept renewing it and letting us do this thing. And I just can't imagine having that sort of, I mean, from their side, that artistic freedom to reinvent yourself and to like tell this long form story about a pack of ultimately like losers. In the history books, like, they don't get mentioned. They're just sort of footnotes. And the older I've gotten, the more I've been like, God, I'd like to do that again. It was just such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, the Christophers were so good, and the music on that show also.
I know.
Perfect.
I have their record, the Mutiny record. I know. I learned so much about the 80s.
Before we let you go, I want to return to reality TV for 1 second. My final question is, who is the greatest reality TV character, performer of all time in your regard?
Okay, I think Mary Cosby is a dangerous person.
Isn't she?
But a fascinating figure. I think Mikhail Salahi is an outrageous sketch of a person. Like, I can't believe that she exists, or the sort of timbre of her voice. I don't know. You know who I think is really interesting, and maybe I think sorry. I was going to do a little diatribe or like loving conversation about oh my God, Kyle Richards, because I think it's interesting. I can never tell if she's acting. I find her like, I really like her. It's Lisa Rinna. Lisa Rinna is my favorite person I've ever seen on screen. I think she is outrageous and inventive and like such a hustler. And even though I know that she's manipulating things and she's a producer, she feels so authentic, and I love her. That was an interesting thing watching back, to be like, oh, the fans seem to not like this woman, and I still don't understand it. I think she's amazing.
You know what? Watching backwards, you probably got such a better peek into Lisa Rinna, to be honest, because I think that the increasingness of that sort of behavior of the producing, and sort of just like the overall darkness of Beverly Hills as it was becoming was just like too much to bear. But now I feel like I miss her.
What do you think about the Kathy Hilton, Lisa Rinna encounter in the...
Oh, she definitely did it. She definitely said it.
Yeah, okay, great. Same.
She definitely said it. I think
But that's the thing with Lisa, is I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I think what she did to Denise was fucked up. Definitely. Yeah. But then I think she is like really throwing it all out there. Maybe she's not. I don't know. I don't know what her secrets are, but she seems pretty happy to capitalize on anything. So I feel like we know.
I think that a friend had, my friend Ray Saudi had this very great had this very great concept about the fact that Beverly Hills used to be the show about the secrets, about the fine china, about like what you didn't bring up on the show. They had a lot of secrets about one another, and they sort of like, they always bubbled up, but they didn't really talk about them. Like the early seasons, they didn't talk about Adrian's surrogacy. Like even when they were suing Brandy, like it was never really brought up that it was a surrogacy on camera until I think even last season, you know? Like it was never brought up on the show. But Lisa Rinna was the first person to break that fine china. She came stomping in, and her bringing up all the stuff about Kim and alcoholism and everything, and just like exposing things that these women thought that we weren't going to talk about on the show. I think that's what sort of made her
and I like
a mess and a lightning rod.
Yes, her like, I'm just asking questions. Like, I love that sort of vibe of shit stirring, is being like, I don't know, like, is she, could it be Munchausen's? I don't know. Like,
But on the flip
so
side, a person like that never lets you ask questions about them. You know, like let's talk about the husband. Like, what's going on?
But
with
she
you?
said what? But she provoked it. You know who I think is the darkest person, and I say this with fear that I will never be invited to Villa Blanca or Villa Rosa, is Lisa Vanderpump. Is, I believe, the darkest person I've ever seen on reality television.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Kyle. See yourself out. It echoes in my head.
There's bodies in that pond.
Oh,
In that moat, there's bodies.
how she ditched Kyle haunts me. It's just really, really, really sad.
Also, Lisa Rinna, when I moved to LA and would like cover red carpet events or whatever, just anything, like the opening of like a Forever 21, whatever, Lisa Rinna was always there. Like I don't know how she got there, whatever, but it's like that hustle. It's like you never thought that would find a match on any kind of TV show, right? Just like a person who wants to be seen, and literally the match could not be more perfect. It's the rare case of somebody finding. It's not the show didn't
Their
have
niche.
to. Yes, exactly. Like they just exactly perfect for each other.
The hardest working people in Hollywood: Lisa Rinna, Rita Ora. Okay, they are everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rita was front row at the Emmys. They are everywhere. Okay.
Wow. I don't know as much about that, but I am interested, and I'll do my research.
Please do.
And Taika
listen to
Waititi
Who
right now.
Weekly.
Taika Waititi
They
right
talk
now
about-
looks like a Kevin Kline
I'm
character.
scared. I think I was
Yeah.
on Hugh Weekly once, so I'm scared to listen to that.
Oh no!
Oh, I
I'm
love
sure
that
They
podcast.
love you.
Yeah.
But
I
I
don't
want
know.
to say,
Excuse me.
lastly, because it's coming back, Mary Cosby, having seen bits, like they released like the first clip of the first episode. She is such a fascinating character to me because she is dark. She obviously, Mary was in this creepy relationship with her step grandfather and her religion, etc. And maybe she's running a cult, and maybe she was brought up in a creepy cult, but she seemed like
is
this.
running a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But she
okay.
seems so dark and angry at these women, right? And the way she sort of lashes out at them in random ways is sort of scary. Like she's always done that to Whitney. But this season, she's full-time again, and she seems like she's playing ball again. It seems like she really did miss being on the show, and she's just having fun.
I can't wait. Because I don't like it when she opts out too much. I don't want her to get too savvy in the way that we've spoken about. But, and I don't think she can, because I think there's something about, like, she has the reactionary vibe of like someone with unchecked power that is like a true narcissist in like the clinical sense, that like suddenly they're confronted with an opposing force, and they, like, no matter how soft that opposing force is, they react like really, really violently. And I don't think you can undo that. But God, I'd love to see her on a girls trip. I mean, she's little girl.
Yeah.
I love her.
And those are the kind of people who, like, even a small act of like a kindness like will make them all of a sudden they love you. Case in point, it opens with she loves Angie now, and it all hinges from at the reunion. Angie told her, "Oh, you have some lipstick on your teeth." And then when Andy asked her at the reunion, "Who do you like on the cast?" She's like, "Well, I like Angie." And now she's following through on it. She loves her.
And also misunderstands things and gets so mad in a way that is irreparable because she just didn't hear something correctly. My friend saw her, get this, in the lobby of a really expensive hotel in Oxford. I live in London. He was in Oxford. And it's the mystery of my life why she would be in that town. And I just, that's actually the end of my story.
No, why are you there?
Don't know what she was doing there, and I really want to know, and I want to see if she'll come back.
Was she on The Traitors?
Oh, isn't recently a new season?
No, this is pre.
Oh, pre.
There's a new season.
So
they were filming while. So I'm shooting a show that was in Scotland. They were shooting while they were in Scotland. If she was on The Traitors, the Oxford trip is pre-Traitors by a while.
Oh, okay.
I'll figure out a
Wow,
timeline. I'll get
okay.
it to you.
Okay,
Mary
great.
Cosby in Oxford. Where were the cameras?
No. What would bring her there? Why was she there?
This feels like
That's
we can
where her
solve
lineage
this.
goes back to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's just there's something like really significant about her being in this university town in England, and I need to get to the bottom of it.
I bet it's not an advanced
All right.
degree. I bet that's not what it's about. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Mackenzie,
Thanks for letting me talk about this for so
Oh
long.
my God,
That's
thanks
all
for
I ever want to do.
please.
Bringing all that you
Thank
are.
you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Yeah.